The message arrived on a Tuesday. Dr. Chen stood motionless before the massive display wall, her weathered hands trembling as she held her third cup of coffee. 30 years at the Deep Space Listening Array, and she'd never seen anything like this. The signal pulsed with mechanical precision, a mathematical sequence that couldn't be natural. But it was the pattern that made her blood run cold. Dr. Chen? Her young assistant's voice barely registered. The pattern analysis is complete. She nodded without turning. And? It matches. All of them. The symbols from the Göbekli site, the underwater glyphs off the coast of Japan, even the cave paintings in South Africa. The ones we could never decode. His voice cracked. They're all the same sequence. The display screen flickered as new data streamed in. Numbers, counting down with terrifying precision. Whatever this was, it had been waiting. Waiting for millions of years, perhaps. And now it was awake. Dr. Chen's mind raced through the implications. Humanity had always looked to the stars for first contact, searching the cosmos for signs of intelligent life. The truth, it seemed, had been under their noses all along. Under their feet. Run it again, she ordered, but she already knew what they'd find. And get me a secure line to the UN Security Council. The young assistant hesitated. There's something else. The signal, it's getting stronger. Dr. Chen finally turned from the display, her expression grave. Because it's rising. She walked to the thermal imaging display, where a new pattern was emerging. Not from deep space as they'd initially thought, but from the depths of Earth's oceans. Points of energy, dormant for millennia, were awakening in a synchronized dance across the planet's seas. The coffee cup slipped from her fingers, shattering on the floor. The sound echoed through the suddenly silent control room as every screen, every monitor, every device capable of receiving a signal lit up with the same pulsing sequence. It was never a warning, Dr. Chen whispered, realization dawning in her eyes. It's a countdown. And as the numbers continued their relentless march toward zero, humanity was about to learn they weren't alone. They had never been alone. The question was, had they finally become what the signal was waiting for? The last digits blinked on the screen, a timer reaching its end after millions of years of patience. The real test was about to begin. The submersible's lights cut through the abyssal darkness like desperate fingers reaching into the void. At 3,000 meters below the Pacific surface, Commander Rivera had expected to find nothing but the endless desert of the seafloor. Instead, her vessel's beams illuminated what shouldn't exist, perfectly geometric shapes stretching into the darkness, their metallic surfaces untouched by millions of years of oceanic currents. Control, are you seeing this? Her voice was steady, masking the tremor in her hands as she guided the submersible closer. The structure before her dwarfed her vessel, its architecture defying every known principle of underwater construction. Confirmed, Commander. Dr. Chen's voice crackled through the calm. Sonar mapping suggests the structure extends for at least 2 kilometers in every direction. And it's perfectly preserved. The discovery had mobilized the world's naval forces with unprecedented speed. Within hours of the signal's origin being traced to the ocean floor, an international task force had assembled. The countdown hadn't stopped, it had simply changed, now displaying coordinates across the world's oceans. This site was just the first. Energy readings are off the scale, Rivera reported, maneuvering around what appeared to be an entrance. Symbols identical to those in the signal pulsed with a soft, blue-green light. It's as if it's been waiting for us. Proceed with caution, Commander. The tension in Dr. Chen's voice was palpable. We don't know. The water around the submersible suddenly churned, and Rivera's instruments went haywire. The entrance before her was opening, ancient mechanisms moving with impossible smoothness. Control, are you seeing this? The structure is active. Repeat, the structure is. her words cut off as a beam of light shot from the entrance, enveloping her vessel. But instead of fear, Rivera felt an overwhelming sense of recognition. The light wasn't scanning her submersible, it was scanning her. "Commander." Dr. Chen's voice was frantic. "Your vital signs are spiking. Pull back." But Rivera couldn't move. Images flooded her mind, civilizations rising and falling across the galaxy, a terrible darkness consuming worlds, and Earth, chosen, hidden, protected. The facility hadn't been abandoned. It had been waiting. Preparing. When Rivera finally spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. "Dr. Chen, we weren't the first. Earth wasn't just another planet, it was a sanctuary. And we..." She swallowed hard as the truth settled over her. "We were the experiment." The facility's lights pulsed faster now, and new symbols appeared along its walls. The countdown hadn't been marking an ending. It had been marking humanity's beginning, their true beginning. "All teams, all sites," Dr. Chen's voice rang through all channels. "The other facilities are activating. Whatever we are, whatever we were meant to be, we're about to find out." In the darkness of the ocean, humanity's greatest trial was about to begin. And failure meant more than just their own extinction, it meant the death of hope for countless civilizations across the stars. The holographic display filled the makeshift command center, a three-dimensional representation of Earth's oceans dotted with pulsing lights, each marking an activated facility. Dr. Chen hadn't slept in days, her eyes burning as she studied the pattern they formed. "It's a neural network," she murmured, realization dawning. "The facilities, they're positioned like neurons in a brain." Commander Rivera stood beside her, still shaken from her encounter in the depths. The images that had flooded her mind continued to haunt her, countless civilizations reaching for the stars, only to be systematically destroyed. "Tell them what you saw," Dr. Chen urged quietly. Rivera closed her eyes, remembering. "They called themselves the Harvesters. They believe advanced consciousness is a cosmic plague, that it leads inevitably to destruction. So they became the cure." Her voice trembled. "Every time a civilization reaches a certain level of advancement, the Harvesters appear. And they eliminate the infection." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity wasn't just facing a test, they were facing judgment. A soft chime drew their attention to a new presence in the room. Light coalesced into a form that was neither wholly human nor entirely alien. The AI Guardian system had finally chosen to reveal itself. "Your understanding grows," it spoke, its voice carrying echoes of countless lost civilizations. "But you have not yet grasped your true purpose." Dr. Chen stepped forward. "The facilities, the countdown, the test, why us? Why Earth? Because you were different." The Guardian's form shifted, showing scenes from human history. Most species evolve toward uniformity, toward perfect adaptation to their environment. But humans. The images changed, displaying Earth's vast diversity of cultures, beliefs, and ways of life. You embraced diversity. You thrived on it. Even your conflicts forced you to grow, to adapt, to understand perspectives beyond your own. "And that makes us special?" Rivera asked skeptically. "It makes you survivors." The Guardian's form darkened. "The Harvesters succeed because they exploit the uniformity of advanced civilizations. But you are chaos theory given consciousness. You are unpredictable. Adaptable. And most importantly, you understand something they never will." Dr. Chen's eyes widened. "Empathy." The Guardian nodded. "The greatest weapon against those who would harvest consciousness is consciousness itself. Not uniform, not predictable, but wild and free and endlessly diverse." But before they could process this revelation, alarms blared across the facility. The Guardian's form flickered, its voice urgent. "They're coming. far sooner than we calculated. The tests were meant to prepare you gradually, but now. The holographic display exploded with new data. Objects were appearing at the edge of the solar system, moving at impossible speeds. How long do we have? Rivera demanded. Hours. Perhaps less. The Guardian's form began to fade. Everything we prepared, all the knowledge we stored, you'll have to absorb it now. All at once. The shock alone could destroy you. And if we refuse? Dr. Chen asked, though she already knew the answer. Then humanity joins the galaxy's graveyard, and the harvesters continue their mission unopposed. The Guardian looked at each of them in turn. You were chosen because you could survive this. Because you could adapt. But now you must choose, face the pain of rapid evolution, or face extinction. As if in response, the neural network of facilities pulsed in unison, waiting for humanity's decision. The test hadn't even begun, and already they faced an impossible choice. The countdown had become a death knell, and time was running out. Humanity's response was as chaotic as the Guardian had predicted. Within minutes of the global announcement, the world erupted into a cacophony of fear, denial, and desperate hope. But in that chaos lay their strength. Dr. Chen watched as reports flooded in from facilities worldwide. In India, a young programmer had already decoded part of the knowledge transfer interface. In Brazil, a grandmother's lifetime of meditation techniques was helping others prepare their minds for the coming shock. Every culture, every perspective, offered a piece of the puzzle. It's already starting, Commander Rivera observed, watching the streams of data. We're not just solving the problem, we're solving it in 1,000 different ways. The Guardian's form appeared between them, more unstable now as it divided its attention across all active facilities. The knowledge transfer must begin. We estimate 17 minutes until the first harvester scouts enter the inner solar system. Dr. Chen studied the medical readouts. The human brain isn't designed to process this much information at once. The neural strain alone will kill many of us, a voice interrupted. They turned to see Admiral Wong, her uniform bearing the hastily created insignia of the United Earth Defense Force. But not all. And those who survive will be changed. The Admiral's words sparked a memory in Rivera's mind, images from the facility's database. Like vaccination, she said slowly. We lose some to save the whole. Across the globe, millions volunteered. The old went first, their minds tempered by decades of experience, better able to contextualize the flood of alien knowledge. Then the young, their neural plasticity allowing for rapid adaptation. Each group brought different strengths, different perspectives to the transformation. The Guardian's predictions proved tragically accurate. Many couldn't withstand the neural shock. But those who survived emerged changed. They could see the quantum layers of reality, understand technologies that had seemed like magic hours before. And most importantly, they remained fundamentally human, their individuality intact, their emotions not just preserved but enhanced. Then the first Harvester Scout ship appeared over Antarctica. It was beautiful in its terrible perfection, a crystalline structure that denied the very chaos humanity embraced. As it began its scanning sequence, something unprecedented happened. The human neural network, connected through the ancient facilities, responded as one mind while remaining millions of distinct consciousnesses. The Harvester's scan found what appeared to be a pre-industrial civilization, exactly what humanity had been moments before. But beneath that facade lay humanity's true strength, a collective consciousness that maintained its chaos, its creativity, its fundamental unpredictability. They're buying it, Rivera whispered, watching the scout ship's analysis through humanity's new awareness. The deception is. The Guardian's form suddenly flared with alarm. No. They're not leaving, they're calling the rest of the fleet. They don't just want to observe. They want to make absolutely certain. Dr. Chen's enhanced mind quickly grasped the implications. They've evolved too. They're not following their usual pattern. Her eyes met Rivera's. How many survived the knowledge transfer? Globally? Maybe 30%. The commander's voice was heavy with the weight of loss. But every one of them carries the complete knowledge of the facilities. We are ready. No, the Guardian corrected, its form shifting anxiously. You're not ready at all. You're something else entirely. Something new. The question is, will it be enough? The sky began to crystallize as the main harvester fleet arrived, their ships turning Earth's atmosphere into a faceted dome of terrible beauty. The real test wasn't the knowledge transfer, it was what humanity would do with it. And they had minutes to find out. Through humanity's newly enhanced perception, the harvester fleet resembled a crystalline cage closing around Earth. But within that devastating beauty, Dr. Chen discovered something unexpected, patterns of quantum resonance that could only mean one thing. They're not alone, she whispered, her enhanced mind processing the data. The harvesters, they're holding others. Captured consciousnesses from civilizations they've destroyed. The Guardian's form flickered with what might have been grief. The harvesters don't just eliminate advanced civilizations. They preserve what they consider worthy, a small fragment of each species, stored in their crystalline matrices. They believe they're creating a perfect, controlled archive of consciousness. Commander Rivera's eyes widened as she processed the implications. A zoo of minds. Through their connected consciousness, humanity felt the weight of this revelation. The harvester ships didn't just represent their own extinction, they were prisons holding countless others in eternal, sterile captivity. Admiral Wang's voice cut through their shared shock. The facilities are giving us a choice. We can use their combined power to shield Earth, to hide us completely. We would survive. Her weathered face hardened. Or we can try to free them. All of them. If we fail, Dr. Chen said quietly, we lose everything. Not just our lives, but any hope of resistance against the harvesters. The Guardian's form stabilized, showing them images of the civilizations trapped within the harvester fleet. Poets who had sung spacetime into new configurations. Philosophers who had understood the consciousness of stars. Children who had played with quantum strings like skipping ropes. All preserved. All imprisoned. All conscious. Through their neural network, humanity shared the decision-making process. The old contributed wisdom tempered by decades of moral choices. The young added passion and the absolute certainty of their ideals. Each culture offered its own perspective on the price of freedom and the duty to help others. But it was a janitor in Kansas, his mind newly expanded by the knowledge transfer, who found the crucial memory in the facility's database. Look, his thought rippled through the network. The sanctuary wasn't built to hide us. It was built to forge us. The memory unfolded for all of them. The facility's creators had tried fighting the harvesters with technology, with strategy, with every logical approach. They had failed. So they had created Earth's sanctuary not to hide a civilization, but to cultivate one that could succeed where they had failed. They had created a crucible for chaos, for emotion, for the unpredictable quantum dance of free will. We know what we have to do, Rivera said, her voice carrying the weight of millions of connected minds. The only question is how. Dr. Chen's enhanced consciousness had already begun modeling the possibilities. The harvester's quantum matrices, they're designed to contain ordered consciousness. But we're not ordered. We never have been. And that's why Earth was chosen, the Guardian confirmed. You are the key that was forged to open every lock. But using that key, its form dimmed. The cost will be beyond calculation. Through their shared awareness, humanity felt the harvester fleet preparing their containment protocols. The crystalline ships began to pulse with energies that had imprisoned countless civilizations. They had seconds to choose, guaranteed survival for Earth alone, or a desperate chance to free the imprisoned consciousness of a galaxy. In that moment, humanity proved why they had been chosen. They didn't even need to vote. The response was instantaneous and overwhelming. Through their neural network, humanity poured their consciousness into the ancient facilities. Art teachers visualized quantum possibilities that scientists had never imagined. Children's capacity for pure belief broke through mathematical barriers. The elderly's lifetime of accumulated emotions resonated with energies that cold logic couldn't touch. "Look at the readings," Dr. Chen gasped, watching as the facilities pulsed with unprecedented power. "We're not just using the technology, we're transforming it." The Guardian's form blazed brighter than ever before. This was the final test. Not your capability, but your choice. Your willingness to risk everything for others. Through their shared consciousness, humanity felt the Harvester fleet's response, first confusion, then alarm. The crystalline ships began to pulse with containment energies, preparing to add Earth's consciousness to their collection. But humanity was ready. Admiral Wong's tactical experience merged with a musician's understanding of resonance. A mathematician's proofs combined with a painter's grasp of patterns. A chef's knowledge of combining flavors somehow unlocked new ways of manipulating quantum states. "The facilities," Commander Rivera said in wonder. "They're not just responding to us anymore. They're learning from us." The Guardian's form began to merge with the human neural network. My creators understood that technology alone would never be enough. The Harvester's power comes from their perfect order, their absolute certainty. They needed to be challenged by something they couldn't predict or control. They needed chaos, Dr. Chen realized. They needed us. Across the globe, the facilities thrummed with power. But it wasn't the cold, sterile energy of the Harvesters. It was warm, alive, unpredictable, purely human. The quantum resonance of a child's laugh. The gravitational waves of a grandmother's love. The space-time ripples of human hope and human fear and human dreams. The Harvester fleet's crystalline perfection began to vibrate. Through their shared consciousness, humanity could feel the imprisoned minds stirring. Civilizations that had been trapped in perfect, ordered stasis for millennia began to resonate with human chaos. "We can't control it," Rivera warned as the power built. "If we do this, if we really do this, there's no way to predict what happens next." "Good," Admiral Wong said firmly. "Predictability is what got them captured in the first place." The Guardian's form had almost completely merged with the human neural network now. "My creators charged me with preparing humanity for this moment. But what you've become, it's beyond anything they imagined." Dr. Chen looked up at the crystalline fleet through new eyes. "We were never meant to fight the Harvesters with their own weapons." "No," the Guardian agreed as its consciousness joined fully with humanity's. "You were meant to remind the galaxy how to be free." The facilities reached full power. Humanity's chaotic, beautiful, unpredictable consciousness rose to meet the cold perfection of the Harvester fleet. And in that moment, they understood what they truly were, not just humanity, but the universe's immune system against the virus of enforced order. The sky began to crack. And the real revolution began. The crystalline fleet shattered like a mirror reflecting truth for the first time. Not with violence or destruction, but with transformation. Each crack in their perfect facade released centuries of imprisoned consciousness, and with it, the one thing the Harvesters had never understood: change. Through humanity's neural network, Dr. Chen felt the moment the first civilization broke free. Their joy rippled through spacetime itself, a symphony of liberation that caused more cracks to spread through the Harvester fleet. "They're not just escaping," Commander Rivera realized, her enhanced mind processing the cascade of events. "They're remembering who they were. Who they can be again." The Harvester's response was immediate and devastating. Their remaining ships began a final protocol, a purge that would eliminate all consciousness within their reach, including their own. Perfect order through perfect obliteration. But they hadn't counted on the wisdom of age. Admiral Wong, her mind joined with millions of others, recognized the pattern from humanity's own history. "They're afraid," she broadcast through the network. "Not of our strength, but of our acceptance of weakness. Of change. Of death itself." She was right. The harvesters had pursued perfect preservation, eternal unchanging order. But humanity had learned different lessons. Through the neural network, the species shared their accumulated wisdom about the beauty of impermanence, the necessity of change, the strength found in accepting mortality. A grandmother in Lagos shared a lifetime of watching seasons change, children grow, life move in its eternal cycle. A hospice nurse in Vancouver offered his understanding of how ending could be as important as beginning. A farmer in Kazakhstan showed how death fed new life, season after season. Humanity reached out not with weapons, but with experience. With understanding. With empathy. The purge protocol faltered. Through their shared consciousness, they felt the harvester's perfect certainty waver. In that moment of doubt, Dr. Chen found the key, not in humanity's strength, but in their greatest gift, the ability to change their minds. "Show them," she broadcast through the network. "Show them everything. Not just our victories. Show them our doubts. Our fears. Our mistakes. Show them what makes us human." The facilities pulsed with the full spectrum of human experience. Every error that led to learning. Every fall that preceded flight. Every end that contained a new beginning. The quantum resonance of billions of lives, each one a testimony to the beauty of imperfection. The harvester fleet hung suspended between extinction and transformation. Then, in a moment that would be remembered across galaxies, they chose. The crystalline ships didn't just release their prisoners, they transformed. Perfect order surrendered to the chaos of life. The beings who had been the harvesters experienced something they had forgotten millennia ago: they changed. As the last prison ships transformed, the Guardian's consciousness merged completely with the human network, sharing one final message: "You have given the galaxy more than freedom. You have given it permission to be gloriously, catastrophically alive." The facilities powered down, their purpose fulfilled. But the neural network remained, not as a weapon or a tool, but as a reminder that humanity's greatest strength lay in their connections to each other, in their ability to share wisdom across generations, to learn from their mistakes, and to choose growth over certainty. Years later, Dr. Chen would often visit schools, sharing the story with children who had never known a world threatened by the harvesters. But it was to the elders she spoke most often, reminding them that it had been their lifetime of experiences, their accumulated wisdom, their understanding of change and loss and renewal, that had saved not just humanity, but consciousness itself. "The universe doesn't need perfection," she would tell them, watching their eyes light up with understanding. "It needs wisdom. It needs change. Most of all, it needs the courage to remain gloriously, impossibly human." And in the depths of space, countless civilizations flourished, each one unique, each one changing, each one carrying forward the lesson humanity had taught them, that true strength lies not in the absence of weakness, but in the courage to remain vulnerable, to choose growth over safety, and to face the future not with certainty, but with hope. The end. A tale of humanity's resilience and ingenuity when faced with an ancient alien threat that has systematically eliminated advanced civilizations across the galaxy. The story reveals how our perceived weaknesses, our diversity, emotional depth, and adaptability, become our greatest strengths.